Welcome to Chakras and Cuss Words, a podcast that dives into self-improvement, completing goals, and overcoming modern-day obstacles. I am your host, Catherine, and together we will address our fears, establish self-awareness, and complete self-growth through honesty and reflection. Remember to please like and share this podcast. Thank you. Thank you for listening to Chakras and Cuss Words. This podcast has been brought to you by Anchor. Anchor has sponsored, distributed, and helped me create a good podcast to you. So if you have been thinking about making your own podcast, I suggest you use Anchor. It's easy to use and it's free. So go ahead, create your podcast, and I can't wait to hear it. Thank you for listening. Hello, everybody. If you were popping in, my name is Catherine. I am the podcast host of Chakras and Cuss Words podcast. I am also the brand creator. I'm so excited to be doing this room today and get into the throat chakra. Like, the throat chakra is honestly one of the chakras that I get the most questions about. It has so much dynamic and actually really a energy source that many people forget to touch on. And they forget to understand the true meaning of the throat chakra. And this is the in-depth understanding of the throat chakra. If you are new to the chakra system and really want to learn more about what each chakra does and how each chakra works and really balance that area out, I highly recommend that you listen to the full chakra series on my podcast. I have the introduction to each chakra, the introduction to what is a chakra, and really understanding that full depth of the chakra series. So if you have a question, you can raise your hand. I will bring you guys up at the end of the room and discussion of what the throat chakra is and why the throat chakra is so important. So for many who are new to this, the chakra system is an ancient philosophy that really came from actually the Hindi population of India. It is a center of where they see the energy alignment in each individual on a cellular and also on a solar level, meaning of the spirit, of the soul. The throat chakra is the fifth chakra. It has a dynamic state in the fact that the throat chakra is really the chakra that holds the soul's message. It holds the message of the soul. It holds the message of the individual, and it really holds the area of communication. Many of us, when we are learning about our chakras, we have to think about how can we use our chakra energy and chakra space to benefit not only our relationships, but also to benefit us on that individual level, on that spirit level, on that level of becoming one with the universe, becoming one with our own energy, and accepting our capabilities and accepting the areas that maybe we don't feel as strong in, right? Some of us might not have a center where our throat chakra feels balanced. It might feel depleted, might feel a little blocked, and it might also feel possibly a little excessive. So since the throat chakra is the element of sound, many of us know that sound is what we put out. Some people even say that the throat is the entryway to the soul. And when we think about that, that sounds really deep, right? That sounds very in depth. If the throat and the mouth is the entryway to the soul, we are delivering our soul's message. And that's what I really want many of us to understand, that we are living in our core message as we release our message of communication, our message of understanding from the inner area of the soul up to the throat and outward. So if you are feeling that you have a blocked throat chakra, you're probably not feeling very strong in your communication skills. You're probably also not feeling strong in the area of saying your messages to possibly loved ones or also to people in your family or maybe even clients or maybe even in the workforce, right? You will see blocks of this energy of the soul's core message not really being released in the area that it should be released because possibly there could be a block. Most of the chakra traits really begin to develop at an early age. And when we think about the throat chakra, it isn't necessarily the first three chakras where a lot of people will have a lot of inner child healing that needs to be done, but it's actually the fifth chakra. So this actually starts to kind of pick up some traits, kind of pick up some limiting self-beliefs at the age of 7 and 12. And let's kind of like give ourselves a second to think back at that age, right? What were we doing at 7 and 12, right? Where were we in our life at this age? Where were we that we were feeling either aligned or misaligned with our communication? So when we think of this age, we have to think about what was the communication style with the parents. It always comes back to the parental unit. What was the communication style with the parents? Did they get excessively angry? Was there a lot of yelling in the house, or was there just silence? Was nobody communicating? Was it just a shutdown of area where there just wasn't communication? We just don't talk about our problems here in this house, right? We just ignore it and hope they go away. Or was it an area where, there is a discussion? Either the discussion is in a productive area where both parties or the family unit actually receives the message and also is able to release a message of the soul, of the core of how they're feeling at the moment. Also, what we have to look at is the time that we were in this 7 to 12 age. What was our school life like if we were in school or if we had social interactions with our peers that were around the same age? When we look at that age, that is an age where usually we'll see children on the playground. They're having tons of fun. They're yelling, they're playing, they're laughing. Some of them might be teasing each other. Some of them might be in this area where maybe their verbal communication is a little bit hurtful to other people, right? So we have to look at that. Was I receiving hurtful messages from other people, or was I receiving messages that were structured on affection, on resignation, of understanding who I was at this age? What were the messages that I was receiving at this age of 7 and 12? Also, with the throat chakra, something that is very important is the element of sound. And when we look at the element of sound, sometimes too much sound is too much. And we do have to turn off that element of knowing our balance, right? We hear that sometimes there is too much sound. Like, for instance, if you were working in an area where, let's say, you are getting overstimulated through sound energy throughout the day, that is going to leave you tired. That's going to leave you exhausted. I don't know if there's any healthcare providers in the room, but sometimes if you are in this area where it's constant sound, you will go home and still hear that sound. You'll still hear the beeping of the time period that you were just in, right? Of the atmosphere. You might hear the area of light energy, which travels in an energy of sound as well. So you might hear this energy unconsciously, right? we will hear areas of sound, and then we will go home, and what we do is we do like get on our phone or start to watch TV, and we continue to bring that energy back in. But if we are feeling areas of jaw pain, areas of even headaches, sore throats, really just tight in our throat chakra region, which is our upper neck and jaw area, then it's time to actually eliminate some of that sound. And that would be personally and also the sound you receive. Because remember, the throat chakra is not only related to the messages that you are giving, but also the messages that you are receiving. So sometimes it is important to eliminate that sound. So the goals of the throat chakra and really the objection of the throat chakra, when we think about it, is to have communication that is clear, right? It's communication that feels aligned with what we're trying to say. Sometimes people who have excessive throat chakras might have areas of not only the fear of speaking, but also the areas of, I'm sorry, not excessive, but blocked, will have the areas of not being able to speak their full sentences. For instance, stuttering, just fear of speaking, fear of expressing how they feel. So, the other goal for your core message of the throat chakra is to have that creation where you are able to release the message of the soul. And that seems, even just saying that seems very, very intense, right? What is my soul's core message, right? What is my soul's core message? And that's something that you would have to ask yourself. What is my soul's core message? Because your soul's core message looks different than my soul's core message and looks different than the people that are in your home, right? What is your overall soul's core message? What is it that your soul is trying to express to this universe? Also, when we are thinking about goals and areas of the throat chakra, we also have to realize that it is our duty when we are becoming aligned with the throat chakra is to have that area where we resonate with other people. We don't have to believe them, and we don't have to say like, yes, this is completely true, but we do have to understand and give people the opportunity to express their messages as well. So if you are somebody who automatically cuts everybody off and you say, no, I'm not listening to you. I do not care what you have to say. I am not listening to you. That is actually a block in your own throat chakra because you are not allowing others to express their core message. You are not allowing others to express their area of communication. Also, with the throat chakra, one of the things that is kind of our right, and a lot of times when we say, this is our right, this is my right, I am allowed to have this, is because at this early age of 7 or 12, somewhere we were told our words didn't matter. Our core message didn't matter. Children are not to speak unless spoken to. We all need to be quiet, you be quiet, you be quiet, you be quiet. How come you think audio apps and podcasts and this area of new audio technology is on the rise? Because people are now breaking their blocks of their throat chakra. They are now breaking that energy that's saying, nope, you can't speak. Nope, you be quiet. Could you imagine if you were on Clubhouse and then all of a sudden somebody said, no, I don't care what your room's about. I don't like it. it's not. Yeah, you be quiet. You just be quiet. I don't care what you have to say. Just be quiet. This is the energy that's now coming alive in our generation, in our area of technology, is that we were once held so submissively down with our throat chakra that it's now taking this strength of everybody's energy, right? Everybody is saying, no, no, no. I'm tired of my energy source being so submissive and also being so restrained that now I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to release it. I'm going to let my core message be heard. So, a lot of times when I'm working with somebody who has a blocked throat chakra, one of the most important things for them to understand is you can speak. You are allowed to speak. You are allowed to express your communication. You are allowed to get your core message out. And yes, your core message can change, but you are allowed to express that. You are allowed to have that area where the core message flows from the inner soul outward to the universe. So that is your right. Also, what we also want to think about is our self-expression. Self-expression of our core message comes in many styles, right? Many styles. It could come in dancing. It could come in drawing, painting. It can come just in the throat chakra, which is the speaking element, the sound element, but it can come in many ways. The thing is that we are allowing our message to be released. We are allowing it. One of the opposing things about the throat chakra, some people even say it's the demon of the throat chakra or the balance of, I don't like to use too much of the words good versus bad, but it is the center that builds those areas of disbelief, and that is lies. So a lot of times when we see somebody with an excessive throat chakra and they just do not know how to turn that energy off, because remember, chakras can be depleted, blocked, and also excessive. When we see somebody with an excessive throat chakra, it's almost like lies are just coming out, right? They're unaligned with their core message. They're unaligned with their truth. So it's just easier to lie. It's just easier to tell a lie. That's how they feel. And what that does is the receiver, the person who is receiving the message or receiving the lie, automatically builds a block because they either choose to believe the lie, they choose to acknowledge the lie and say, this person's untruthful, right? This person is untruthful and they're not living in their core message. They don't value me and they're lying to me. And that also brings this area of disbelief where you feel that you're not valued. Your core message isn't valued as well, right? It is an area that is shot up from the heart chakra, but that area of lies can really implicate how others, if you were a child in a household, and let's say you were a child in a household and maybe the parents lied to you pretty consistently. Sometimes it happens. Maybe dad said he was going to take you to a baseball game. He never took you. He never picked you up. He never organized the date. He said something was going to happen that never happened. Maybe mom said she was going to get home early and go to your school recital. She didn't. She couldn't. But you had this notion that something was going to happen because they communicated that to you and you received that message, but then that message was not true. So when we are looking at the areas of the demon of the throat chakra is lies. So it's incredibly important to be truthful with your messages. We can't control how other people deliver their messages, but for us, for people who want alignment in our chakras and we want alignment in our energy, not only with the energy we release, but also with the energy we receive, it is incredibly important to be as truthful as you can. Because there's times where, hey, I was running late to work. Maybe if I would have got off my phone and let my excessive throat chakra rest a bit, I might have got on work on time. But, I get to work and I tell my boss, I couldn't find my keys, So there's areas where we need to maybe tell a little white lie or whatever. But when we are delivering our messages, our authentic core messages, they need to be as truthful as possible. The universe hears truth. The universe wants to release truth back to you. But the energy that we put out is most likely the energy we will receive. And I want to tell you guys a story around the time that I was probably about the time that I was about 12, 13-ish, maybe a little older. So this is energy around my throat chakra, and this is also energy around the third eye chakra. So when I was younger, I used to steal. It's like even a little embarrassing to say it now, right? But I used to steal. I used to steal a lot of stuff. Sometimes I would ride around in stolen cars. I used to steal from grocery stores, like candy, whatnot. I used to steal clothes. I used to steal a lot. I didn't really steal from people too much, but I used to steal. And probably around that same time, I noticed a lot of people were stealing from me as well. So a friend, she stole all my clothes, and these were friends, right? At the time, right? She stole my clothes. I don't know if any of you guys know of cassettes, but like they used to have like these cassettes of mixtapes, right? And I was all about the mixtapes, right? I needed to have my cassettes of mixtape, and I think I had over, I don't know, maybe like 50 cassettes of mixtapes. And I loved these. These were actually like oldies for those who are part of the oldie generation of music listeners. We loved our oldies, right? And it was called East Side Story. You Google it. And it was when I was in my Chola era, right? So I worked my butt off trying to get these dang cassettes. They were hard to get. I think I got them from like somebody in LA. My dad like worked really hard to get them. And somebody stole them from me. And I think it was a friend. They stole my cassettes. So I was mad, right? And I confronted like a lot of people who were at my house, because my house was like a little bit of a party house. My parents were never home. I got to basically be home by myself from the age of, I started staying by myself probably about 12 to, till I was moved out at 17. But I was home alone till probably almost like midnight, get home from school, and then I was home alone. So of course I would have my friends over, right? No parental supervision for a 13-year-old who's in the Chola era. Honey, I'm having my friends over, right? So I noticed my cassettes are gone, and I start to ask the people who would be at my house a lot, like, hey, did you see my cassettes? Like, my whole collection is missing. Like, what the hell? And people, no, nope. They would lie. Oh, I don't know. I don't know who stole them. Blah, blah, blah. I don't know. I kept thinking, okay, so I kept asking, like, hey, do you know who stole my cassettes? Like, somebody stole my cassettes. That's fucked up. Kept asking. I had one friend. She told me the truth. She goes, yeah, so-and-so stole them. I was like, what? And this was a friend. I was like, what? And of course, at the time I was upset, tried to get them back, couldn't get them back. The girl basically ghosted me. Me and this girl we were arch emesis for, multiple years, back when I was in my little hoodie days. And one night, because I've always read a lot about like astrology and energy and being in the space of the metaphysical world. And one day I remember I was like laying in my bed. I was like, fucking people keep stealing from me. It's fucked up, And this is what I'm thinking to myself, like, man, I love those cassettes. And then something told me, it's because you steal. People keep stealing from you because you steal. Stop stealing and people will stop stealing from you. And that was my core message coming out to me, like saying, you are living in this area of lies. You are living in this area of excessiveness, and you are receiving the energy that you are releasing. So I did. I stopped stealing. I'm going to tell you the truth. It took me a while, but I did. I stopped stealing. But yeah. And once I stopped stealing, people stopped stealing from me. So the energy that we release is the energy we receive. Also with the throat chakra, there tends to be areas of excessiveness as well. So we talked a little bit about the depletion, but let's talk about the excessiveness. So the excessiveness with the throat chakra is, in all actuality, you will get areas of excessive talking and inability to listen. It's almost non-existent in your active listening, because your throat chakra is so excessive that the energy is just expressing outward. So when people are trying to send you messages, to receive, it's a block. It's automatically a block. You can't receive it. You don't want to receive it. You don't care what they got to say, right? Bah. What am I going to care what she's got to say? Why do I care what he's got to say? I don't want to hear that message. Your active listening has gone down to the point where it's non-existent. You cannot receive other people's messages. Areas of a really, really excessively high energy of a throat chakra will come with lies, stuttering, gossiping. And gossiping is a big one, right? I mean, we all like to gossip a little bit, Most of my content, sometimes I do it on celebrities. It's easier to talk about a celebrity than it is about me, right? It's easier to admit a celebrity's fuck up than it is to admit mine. It's easier to admit, ooh, that coworker at work, she a hot mess. She always late. Is she even working? I always see her on the phone all the time. Oh my gosh, what is she doing? It's easier to gossip about somebody else than it is to speak your own truths. Gossiping happens a lot, and that is an excessive throat chakra. If you can't speak your own truths, if you can't speak your own messages, keep them to yourself, right? Keep them to yourself, because that judgment of the throat And the heart chakra is becoming excessive, probably with your solar plex as well. So really have it at a full aligned state. Also, stuttering is a big one. A lot of people might have so many messages. They want to get all these messages out, right? They just want to get all these messages out. They got so many messages, they don't even know where to concentrate at, and they begin to stutter. The blocked throat chakra usually comes in a poor rhythm. So, a poor rhythm means there's somebody who is trying to communicate what they want to say, but for whatever reason, the flow just does not flow. The flow is not there. The rhythm is not there. They might tell you something and you're like, okay, wait, what'd they say? And the listener, the receiver, heard you. They heard the sound. They heard the energy frequency, but they did not really hear the message. Or it's the ability to actually speak. And this is a big one. This is one, and it comes up in relationships, it comes up in businesses, it comes up a lot in different spaces. People will say, I think I need to, start to speak to my clients a little bit more. I think I need to maybe start a podcast, or maybe I want to start to get on Clubhouse and actually get on stage. Maybe I want to hold a room, but I just don't know how, or I just don't really want to. Or maybe you're totally fine with listening. That's fine. That's great. That's where you're at. But when you are saying that you want to do something and the inability to actually achieve it, and it has to do with communication, that is a deficient throat chakra. For instance, let's say you want to communicate to your boss, I need a raise. I've been with this company for 15 years and this new dude got a raise. Like, who's this guy? He hasn't busted his butt as much as I busted my butt. And you know what? I work really hard and I'm a valuable employee. I am a valuable employee. And I deserve, I know I deserve at least a couple extra dollars. And I feel like I need a raise. But you never express it. You never express it to your boss. You never express it to anybody else. And yeah, maybe the boss thinks you're a great employee. Maybe the boss thinks, well, he's not asking me for a raise, so I'm not going to say nothing, right? Why would I say something? He's not even worried about it, so whatever. So it is your responsibility and it is your right to speak. So just remember, it is your right to speak. Also, shyness is a big one. And this also, you got to look back at that 7 to 12 age. That 7 to 12 age, it's a hard age. When you're about 7 years old and you got to get in front of the class, you got to tell them about your school project. You got to tell them about, what's going on. Or maybe your football coach says to you at 12, your flag football coach, hey, what do you think about that play? And you're like, what? Oh, don't call on me. Woo, the shyness and the nervousness is there. And that is a depleted throat chakra. So many of you guys are probably saying, okay, this is great. Now what do I do with this, right? Now what do I do with this? Now what do I do now that I've realized what the throat chakra is and how it's affecting my relationships? How do I get in the space where I use it to balance and align, right? How do I balance and align my throat chakra? So first I want you to look at, where's your throat chakra at? Is it excessive? Is it deficient? Or is it aligned? If you feel like your throat chakra is aligned, that is beautiful. There's not much you need to do except for allow it to rest. Allow it to rest where the throat chakra doesn't feel overwhelmed, where the throat chakra doesn't feel that not only is it receiving messages, but it's also releasing messages. So make sure that you give that throat chakra time to rest. And the throat chakra is an element of blue. It's the color blue. It's the 16th lotus plant. So when we think of the throat chakra and how can we give it areas to rest, you're going to want to drink teas, high antioxidant teas, blueberry teas, raspberry, areas where you introduce that life of that color. Also, this is natural foods. I always say it's natural because like it's not a blue energy drink. Don't drink a blue energy drink and be like, I'm aligning my throat chakra. No, you're not. So make sure it's natural, nourishing foods. Also, give the area of where you look at your communication style. If you feel like, you have a good communication style, look at it. What kind of sentences are you asking when you talk to people? Are you acknowledging the tributes that you feel? Are you also acknowledging the tributes that they may feel? How does your sentences start? Are they with I sentences? And I sentences, for many of us, when we use I sentences, it really breaks in the acknowledgement of our message, right? Hey, I need you to maybe pick up your socks that you always leave on the floor. Is there any way that I think I need you to help me with this project? There is more of a sense of vulnerability with the I sentences, but in actuality, the I sentences are expressions of your core message of what you are trying to say versus the you message. You need to pick up your socks. You need to pick up your socks. You always leave your socks on the floor. You need to pick up your socks. You're not expressing your core message. You're expressing what you want others to do, but not your core message. With the I sentence, it does have that area of vulnerability, but it also allows the receiver to receive the message. For instance, you need to help me with this project. You really need to help me with this project. I'm feeling so overwhelmed. And what are you doing? You haven't helped me at all. You delivered two different messages in two different styles. And of course, the I message does have that area of vulnerability, but is the expression of your core message. So really look at how you are sending your messages out, because the way that you send your messages out really brings how other people will receive them. And that is for somebody who feels like their throat chakra is aligned and possibly on a good path where they don't have to do too much. Just look at your messaging style. Also, what you should do if you are learning to work at the throat chakra, one of the biggest things is visualization during meditation. Allowing yourself to visualize that space of communication of your core message. What does your core message look like, right? What is my core message? What is my core message right now? What is the message that I am trying to relieve and release? Breathing techniques and listen to the sounds. Also mantras and affirmations. And I prefer that you say the affirmations out loud, that you say, I can speak, right? I trust my core message. I trust my alignment and I trust the area of my messaging. I live in my truth. I live in my truth. I prefer that you speak them out loud, especially when they are dealing with the throat chakra. Also, something that you need to understand or you should look at in the throat chakra is when you are in this area of balance, make sure that you are receiving the messages and that you are a good listener as well, right? You want to be a good listener as well. And you want to have that space where you allow others to speak their truth as well. Also, some of the things that you can do for the throat chakra is humming. Especially if you have a blocked throat chakra or a throat chakra that you feel is deficient, humming really opens it up. You can do areas of humming and speaking. There's many times that people will hum or mantras or chants to really open it up, to really get that space. And if for whatever reason you just cannot get out the words that you need to say, then write them down. Write them down and speak them to yourself. Write them down, speak them to yourself, and then you can speak them to other people. Also, what you can do too is make sure to share your expression in other ways if you just cannot get the words out. So that could be painting, that could be writing, that could be drawing, that could be crafts. Whatever it is, try to get the message out, because holding the message in can sometimes leave you in an area where you feel so unaligned and it really affects the other chakras. Also, crystals you could use for the throat chakra are the Aquamarine, Turquoise stone, and the stone of truth, which is the Lapis lazuli. Aromatherapy for the throat chakra is Jasmine, lavender. Lavender is a really big one that you want to use with the upper chakras, the throat, the third eye, and the crown, and also sage. And the foods include warm teas, blueberries, goji berries, and carrots, because a lot has to do with the area of the sacral, of feeling safe in your passions with the sacral and the root, and letting that expression out. So if you are having a hard time, completely hard time with unblocking your throat chakra, there might be energy around the root chakra that you need to look at as well. And holding back creates this area of an alignment in the chakra energy source. So the more you hold back from your expression, it's not engaging the third eye, it's not engaging the crown, and it's not engaging the heart. And the heart chakra is one of the chakras that is really in the ability to trust others and to trust yourself. So holding back the expression is sometimes even worse than just having a depleted throat chakra that you just are learning to open up. It's one thing when you're learning to open it up and start to express, but just acknowledging that you don't even want to express the throat chakra is one of the things that will hurt the soul in an area where it's harder to come back from that. So I want to thank everybody who came in this room. Let's see, I don't see any hands raising. Oh, thank you, Judy, for staying. I know this is a long room, especially because this is in depth of the chakra series. I did put my podcast up for anybody who wants to listen to the introduction of the throat chakra, because this one was very in depth. So thank you for listening and holding in space. And we have Rima, my sister, my friend. Thank you so much, Lady Hustler, for coming in. And you guys are amazing. Thank you for popping in. And everybody have an amazing day. Bye.